All right. Oh my God, we're back again. Yeah, that's right. It is Fri-YAY, divas, and here we are. We're doing Fri-YAY together, and we're talking about press lists. So I hope that you have your press list. If you do not, this is where we are starting to talk about it. So join me, join me on this little jaunt into press list land because I want you to start telling people about the work that you're doing. And one of the ways that the world has changed is that we have more access to people who share information than we ever did before. However, it also can be a lot of work. And so I want to help make this as easy as possible and streamlined and efficient in your business. So when you are thinking about a press list, we're going to get started with our basic concept of a CRM, right? A customer relationship manager or a client manager tool. If you're doing this in nonprofit land, maybe you call this your donor management tool, right? A CRM just basically collects contact information and any other uh, background or important information about the people that you work with, your clients, your customers, whatever it is that you need to keep on hand, but you can't keep it all up here. So this is where we keep it, right? If we are doing the very, very basic version of this, get a spreadsheet. And I would like for you to keep track of this in one place. Spreadsheet is fine. It's easy to check in. It's easy to change things. You don't have to pay for it to use Google Sheets, right? Keep it easy at hand and easy to update. So whatever that looks like for you, that's what I want you to pick. So you can pick the spreadsheet option, or if you haven't heard me do this one yet, maybe it's time to start an email list. Whenever I tell you to start an email list, I'm never necessarily saying that I need you to send me an email every 2 weeks. I don't care like about that necessarily. I want you to have a place in which you collect contact information for the people who care about what you do, right? That's why I want you to start an email list, is because it works as your de facto CRM. It works as de facto fan management. So whenever you hear me say build an email list, this is really what I'm talking about. Is, do you have a tool that collects contact information from people who care about what you're doing so that you can also have when you need to? So that's the first step. Okay, press lists. Here's what I want you to remember is that I really want you to think about your press list both geographically and topic wise. So geographic means that you are going to keep track of every outlet in your immediate local area, local regional area, right? Depending on how big your how populous your area is, you might keep your press list pretty small, connected to that particular city or town or whatever. If you are in a less populated area, then you are probably going to want to make the most out of your town, your state, your region, etc., and really like see if you can triangulate as much as that as possible. Like I said, I want you to have the geographic side of this, and then I also want you to have the topic side of this. The topic side is, what are all of the outlets that cover my particular type of work in the arts? So if you are into music, for example, right, what are the outlets that cover information or happenings in my specific subgenre of music? So this might take a little bit of time at first, but you need to do some research, right? You need to branch out, you need to learn about your field so that you can have an awareness of who is actually writing about, who is covering, who shares information about the field that I'm in. I think that one of the ways that I've done this, one of the ways that I suggest that other people do this, is by uh, kind of looking to your musical idols, your musical contemporaries, the people that you admire and respect in your field. Hopefully you have some that are closer in career level or career stage to you, right? You're playing in similar venues, you're going to similar festivals or workshops or whatever it is. You are hanging out in the same kind of spaces, right? And then you might have some people that are farther down their career path and they've been doing it longer and they've had more experiences, right? So both of these and anywhere in between, I want you to be looking at them. We're going to do a little bit of research to find out where are those people getting covered, right? Are they being covered in magazines, newspapers, television programs, podcasts, album reviews, right? Playlists, are they getting radio interviews, right? Any of these things, I want you to start to create a conception of where does information about their artistic output get shared, right? Because that's where I want you to try to show up as well. And that's what we're working on with the press list, is that as we're building it, is I need a place where I'm going to collect that information so that I don't have it all over, and that's a whole messy bit. But then what I'm going to do after that is just make sure that I have that contact information somewhere, and I also have it categorized by what's most useful. So is it because this is my regional geographic community that wants to know about it and potentially come to a performance, right? Because there are some things that I need to cover because I want people to put butts in seats. So I want them to come hear the thing, right? And so that's why I want to connect with that type of regional outlet, right? And as you're growing, right, you're probably going to start your press list with everything that's very close to you. Where are you performing the most consistently? Where, geographically? And then start there, build out that entire press list, right? And then as you're going, where else are you performing? Where would you like to perform more, right? Can you show up in those spaces? And so there might be some geographic crossover. Or have you done work in other places of the country? Do you have a home base somewhere else from where you're living at the moment, right? Or do you have you done a body of work, right, in the place where you went to school, or the place where you grew up, or where your family is based, or anything like that, right? Or this place is really meaningful to me as an artist, so I've done a lot of work there, or this is where my teacher lived, and so I feel very inspired by this. Whatever it is for you, I'm just coming up with stuff here. So start with that, right? And you're building out your press list. So you've got the categories by that geographic region, and then you've also got the categories that are by topic or field, right? And so that's where you're wanting to, you can reach out with your geographic and like the local side of this when you're having events and right, you're wanting to draw interest for something that's happening, right? This is happening. Please tell people that they can come to this, that they can attend, that they can enjoy this festival, blah, 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 right? That's what we're going for. Topic-wise, this might be an area in which you can do some kind of foundational visibility building, right? By doing a podcast interview, and that maybe doesn't have to be as tied to a performance, a commission, an album, whatever, right then and there, but it can be in relation to things that you've recently completed or things that you're working on. It doesn't have to be as close to a specific date or date of an experience, right? So that's what we're going on there. So you can also kind of start reaching out and pitching yourself for press and publicity with those two things in mind, right? Is this an outlet that's going to feature something because it's time bound and people can go to it and they can experience it? Or is this an outlet that is interested in the slightly more human experience side of being an artist? And I've got some things that I can pitch. Please, please, please don't go to outlets without something to pitch. Like, that's part of what this is that you need to be making sure that you're bringing something that has value for them as either a journalist or a writer or a podcaster or something like that. What are you bringing to them that is going to get their audience engaged and interested and wanting to find out more? So maybe as you're building your press list, your second objective here is, what are my story angles for any of this? Like, what are 5 topics that I could pitch to somebody right now that are relevant, time-bound, interesting, compelling, and have some sort of action related to them, right? I want you to have those kinds of things in mind so that you're not just pitching willy-nilly and taking up somebody's inbox, because then they're going to say, absolutely not. So, okay, so back to our understanding of this press list, right? Okay, so you're probably asking me, Megan, how do I even know how to find this, right? Okay, so what you're going to do is then you're also thinking about, how am I going to sleuth the information about who to contact at these outlets? So that means like anywhere that perhaps it's a magazine, perhaps it's a newspaper, perhaps it's another type of outlet, you're going to look and see, first of all, is their staff split up into topic areas? I'm going to look for that first. Do they have an arts and culture desk, right? Is that part of what they do? Because is it a large enough outlet that they're going to have multiple topics that they cover, right? Say this is like a local newspaper or something like that. You're going to have an arts and culture reporter, journalist, desk, whatever it is. You're going to reach out to that person. And all you need to do is find the website, find their staff page, find their masthead, and see, okay, well, who is this person, right? Sometimes they'll let you write to them straight away through that. Sometimes you can write to a very basic email address and say, I'm looking to get in touch with this person. Is it possible that you can put me in touch with them, or forward my email, or give me their contact information, right? Depending on how they function, any of those things are possible. So don't wait, don't not do it. Also, you can call, right? If there's somebody that sits at that desk and you say, hey, I'm looking to get in touch with the person who writes about arts and culture for your publication. Can you put me in touch? Can you transfer me? Can you tell me how to get in touch with them? What's your process for those people getting in touch with members of the community or people that are trying to pitch them, right? Those are all fine things to do. So the other side of this is that if you're reaching out to someone who runs a podcast, or you're reaching out to someone in radio, you're going to have a very similar situation. Do they run a specific program? Okay, well, who's the person that directs that program, right? And then I'm going to try and reach out specifically to them and say, I think that I'm a good fit for your program. Here's what's interesting about me. This is why I think this is useful, or why your listeners would care. I have this event coming up. I'd love to come and talk to you more about it, etc. Go from there. And this is the kind of work that I want you to be doing. So as you're starting to think about it, you have a place where you where you collect this contact information, right? You've got that categorized, so it's easy for you to pull the relevant contact information when you need to use it. But then how do you get those names on there? You go look for them, right? Figure out which outlets are meaningful to you and who is responsible for the information that gets shared through that outlet. Then see if you can get an email address or get a pitch email address. Sometimes they make like an inquiries specific email address, and just use that, right? Or can you get to the actual director of the thing? Can you get their contact information, or figure out, do they have some sort of submission process, right? Do you have to fill out a form instead of just sending them an email every single time you want to pitch them? That all happens. So there we go. Press basics. I hope that we covered some other things beyond just building your press list from the beginning, but start there. Let me know how it goes. Hit me up in these comments wherever you're watching this. Let me know what questions you have about press lists, and if they've been useful to you, how they could be more useful to you. And I want to hear about it. So until next time, divas, stay sparkly inside and out.